Jen, and thank you everybody for attending today. I know all of you are looking to speak to Mr. Michael Liik, CEO and Chairman, and one of the largest shareholders of Cymat, to get an update on what's happening and the outlook for 2024. Been a difficult time, been a trying time for a lot of us in small cap, macro perspective, but I am also, just for the record, a large shareholder of Cymat, have a lot of faith in the company, a lot of faith in what Michael's doing, and I hope that 2024 will be the game-changing year, and that's what we still anticipate. As Michael will tell you, there's a lot on the table. So I'll hand over to Michael now. I'm sure nobody's here to hear me speak, but we just do appreciate it's been frustrating for all of us, but I do believe it's going to be a happy ending, and I think Michael can enlighten us on what's gone down, some of the unfortunate delays the company's incurred, but also more importantly, what we can expect and hopefully look forward to in 2024 that will provide us a bit more confidence and a bit more of a positive outlook on where we can expect Cymat to go in 24, 25. And on that note, Michael, thank you very much for taking the time. I do compliment you, Michael, on the fact you're always there for your shareholders. I wish more CEOs were like that. Unfortunately, they're not, but you're always happy to talk to any shareholders. You should all know you can reach out to us. Michael's always happy to talk to you. And thank you for taking the time to do this webinar today, Michael, and update us all on the street. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. And thank you, everybody, for who's participating, for taking the time out this afternoon. I'll start just by saying that, as Neil said, there's frustration, I think, on everybody's part, and I certainly share that frustration. We put an update out, I believe, in June of last year of our strategic initiatives and set out some fairly specific timelines and what have you. And I've talked quite a bit about the value of these opportunities and what have you. The bad news is that we've seen delays in virtually every single one of them. I suppose that comes with the territory, the verticals that we're in, namely automotive, nuclear, military, and even construction to a certain extent. They suffer from, hurry up and wait syndrome, and there never seems to be a sense of urgency in these particular industries. And unfortunately, they're the industries that we're in. But having said that, the good news is that virtually nothing has fallen off the table. There's sort of good reason, certainly from the customer perspective, as to why things haven't moved as quickly as they advised us back in spring and even into early fall. But I will take time out here to talk about each of those initiatives, where they are in the process, and realistically when we think they're going to land. So I'll just start by saying again that the overall strategy that the company has for some time being to maintain and build its architectural business under the Illusion brand for a couple of reasons. One is it pays the bills and gives us the opportunity to advance our strategic initiatives in smart metal, which is our engineered material. And also, it's a very high margin product. It doesn't use working capital because of the way we structure our arrangements. So it's a great business. So I'll start with Illusion. As you've probably seen from our financials, we've come through a period in the last 4 to 5 months, which is sort of unprecedented. We've been in the Illusion business for a long time. And starting in sort of August to, I'd say, mid-December, sales virtually dried up. And I can say that mostly it was delays in large projects that caused the sort of the sales displacement, something we've never seen. But the good news is that as of, I'd say, mid-December, projects started to come back on stream. And I think it's a function of, people's views in the construction and development industry of inflation, first of all, stabilizing in construction costs. Now, mind you, they've stabilized at a much higher level, but in most of the markets that we're dealing with, construction costs have stabilized. And also interest rates have stopped going up. In fact, there's talk of interest rates starting to come off. So those are generally good ingredients for the construction market and development building market to I guess, reverse itself. So we were expecting a very large order out of NEOM, which is the city that is being built in Saudi Arabia. It's the largest construction project in the world. We announced about an $800,000 project that we were hoping to get in the fall, but it finally came in January. And on the heels of that, we are expecting other projects to come out of NEOM as well. We have been spec'd into a very large project in NEOM, largest that we've ever done for Illusion, in the $20 million range. And the RFQ for that particular project came out some months ago. And typically what happens, or our experience in Saudi has been that once the RFQ comes out, we start to get requests for quote from subcontractors that purchase our material and install it. So we are hoping that at some point in the next number of months, we start seeing requests for quotes for that particular project, and that we actually start that project as well in 2024. We are starting to get quote requests for a smaller project, about $100,000 project. And that will likely come in the next, we're guessing, next month to 6 weeks. So we are expecting big things out of NEOM. As I said, it's kicked off with a very large project already. As I said, things have turned around. We're expecting about another $1 million worth of orders in the next, call it 3 to 4 weeks. One large project and a bunch of smaller projects. So the good news is we are starting to see projects in our pipeline starting to land. These are projects that we are anticipated earlier, but they are starting to land. So it validates, I believe, my observations from before. So talking about 2024, we're looking at our pipeline going into 2024. And the pipeline as it stands right now, without the outliers, is over $10 million. And these are projects that we've already quoted and in large part have been specified into and are expected to produce in 2024. So all that to say that it looks like we are past our malaise in the architectural business and are looking towards a very healthy 2024. Moving on to smart metal, and I'll leave automotive for the last, but I'll start with the other key initiatives that we have in place. Nuclear, as you know, we've been in for a long time. It hasn't been a big vertical for us up to now, but since our relationship with Nuvia out of France, which is, if not the largest, one of the largest civil works contractors in the nuclear space in France, they are a distributor of ours, and they've come up with a new product using our material that works to safeguard nuclear facilities from external threats, seismic events, weather events, that sort of thing. So we announced, in our update to corporate or to shareholders, we talked about this first contract, and it's a large contract, over $2 million coming in the fall. We're still working out specifics of that contract, but we would expect that in the next number of weeks that those will all be worked out, and then we will get that contract. As I said, that's a very large contract, and we believe it's the first of many for through our relationship with Nuvia in France. Then in military, we talked about our Asian military vehicle opportunity. We've been producing for that now for well over a year in what's called low rate production. They were awarded their first contract for this vehicle, where we provide the underbelly kit to protect against blast from IEDs. So they have been in a period of low rate production, and we've shipped, I'm guessing, probably 15 to 20 kits during low rate production as they learn how to install the kits and various other augmentations that they're doing to the vehicle. They're going into faster production. It's all relative, but normal production. And we've been negotiating a 3-year contract with them for some time now. It does look like it's coming to a close in the next month or so. There are issues that we have been negotiating with them that have held things up. That's one of those that is somewhat on our shoulders as well, but we're trying to get the right contract for us. But that's upwards of a $5 million contract for us over 3 years, and sort of lays a foundation for our military business. And we'll start to see revenue, more serious revenue coming from that in calendar year 2024. We talked about non-lethal bullets. This is something that we developed together with Nobel Sport years ago, but in fact, before the COVID onset. And we thought that opportunity had moved on, but the French military, who are Nobel Sport's contractor, reached out to Nobel Sport in the end of summer and said wanted a refreshed quote, and said that they were now ready to start ordering. So that first order, which we don't have yet but are expecting imminently, is for about 25 to 30,000 bullets, which is about a $250,000 order for us, and we believe that's the first of many. And again, lays a foundation in that particular vertical for us. And then finally, in military, we've been working with a number of groups, in fact, 4 groups, for protective panels. These are multi-threat panels. We're waiting to hear from one of the groups that has gone through all of their certification process, save for one, and that testing was supposed to occur in January. We are waiting to hear the results of that testing. That opens up an initial order from them of about 2,000 panels, which is about $1 million order as a kickoff. But the opportunity with this particular group is very large, and this is just the beginning. So we're, as I said, waiting to hear how their tests went, the certification tests, and they've advised us that once they have the certification, they will fill their pipeline with the first 2,000 panel order. Moving on to automotive. We have been in automotive now in a serious way for about 3 years, ever since the electric vehicle revolution, I would say, took off. The project that we're furthest along on, which is with a new electric vehicle manufacturer, and this is the one where we announced that we had completed not only design and simulation, but prototype testing, validating all of our simulation work. Where that stands is that the way their project was going is that they were doing a limited run of what they call beta or non-production vehicles first, and then the production vehicle was slated to be starting manufacturing in the end of this summer. They had considerable delays and difficulties in launching the first of the non-production vehicles, but we were advised that last week they got their first series of vehicles out. So if I were to speculate, this is probably delayed 6 months for us. And for those of you who aren't aware, the component that we worked on for them and designed is underbelly protection for the electric battery. And basically, it's a novel way to take weight out, absorb energy, and take costs out of a very heavy and inefficient battery case for this particular vehicle. The existing global OEM that we've had a relationship now for many years, the main project or initiative that we have with them right now is showing them the results of that underbelly component that we designed and tested. They're very interested in that concept, and we expect in the next couple of weeks to present to them in a sort of technology day format the results of that test. And we believe, given the interest we've gotten from a number of our champions in that OEM, that hopefully will lead to a program with us. The other programs that we have talked about and announced, we have done our work with those. This particular OEM, I think, is slow walking some of their EV initiatives. As you probably read in the paper, EVs are not growing to the extent that a lot of OEMs had anticipated a couple of years ago. So we suspect that the slowdown in the programs that we are in may have something to do with their overall look at or view on EVs right now. We have a relationship that we've started with a new global OEM, a traditional OEM, who is also interested in a number of our designs for particularly battery boxes. And we expect that within a month to 6 weeks that we will have a formal program with them and that's a paid program, to develop a component for them. So we're in active discussions with them. And then there's also another global OEM that we've been in discussions with for some time, which is a very innovative approach to using our foam, again, in the battery box area. I can't put a pin in or advise on timing for that because there's some development on our end that's required to be done, but we are moving that ahead as well. So to summarize, our main engine, revenue engine, appears to be coming back. We believe that in 2024, we're going to have a record year in Illusion, and that's buttressed by our first order out of NEOM for just under $1 million. And as I said, we're expecting in the next very few weeks another $1 million of orders from other projects. We are seeing a turnaround in the construction market, and that will lay a foundation for 2024 for us. Nuclear and military, after years and years of development work, are going to start to contribute, I believe, meaningfully to our top line. And then finally, automotive, although it has not moved as quickly as we would have liked, we are continuing to see strong interest in our technology. We believe our first sort of serial production opportunity will materialize at the end of this year or early 2025. And in the meantime, we are in various programs, development programs for parts. So that is, I guess, a high-level update on where we are with our initiatives. And with that, I will open the floor up to questions.
Thank you, Michael. We do have the questions floor open. For anyone who wants to ask a question, please email us at info@investor3.ca. That's info@investor3.ca. Several questions came in. The first question, Michael, 17 months ago, Cymat announced a low production purchase order from the Asian military manufacturer. Since the manufacturer has not moved forward with high volume orders, delays have been a result of several issues, all minor in nature. Can you get the order done by the coming agreed upon formula or reprice it in the future with minor adjustments? Do you find these delays, 17 months, unacceptable? How do we know these delays could not plague us for the balance of the calendar year or beyond? In short, how do you intend on dealing with the possibility of ongoing delays?
Well, first off, it's unfortunately the nature of the industry, military industry, that it's certainly my experience and Cymat's experience with military is that the timelines are very unpredictable. We understand to a certain extent what's caused the delays. As you can appreciate, they are learning how to assemble the various components, ours being one of them, into these vehicles. And that's why they have this what's called low volume ramp up. Typically, low volume ramp up runs 12 months, which is what they advised us. And as I said earlier, we've shipped approximately 20 kits during low volume ramp up. I don't see, once they're through that and once we've gotten through the various issues in the long-term contract, that we will see much more delay. I guess the only thing I can say is that their timelines are based on, or delivery timelines are based on their customer, which is that country's military. And a lot of that has to do with when vehicles come in for upgrades or maintenance and what have you. And so I can't say that we are going to have an absolutely firm look at in this 3-year period when these vehicles are going to be or our kits are going to be delivered, because as I said, we are at the whim of our customer, and they're at the whim of the military themselves. But once the contract is in place, I'm sure we'll have minimums per year and other protections, which we're negotiating right now, that will give us some surety of what the cash flows will be. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Michael. The next question. In the last webinar, you explained that the threat panel prospects are based on 2 variants. One having been approved by the military last summer, and the second should have been approved by now. In that previous presentation, you indicated that this could be a very significant source of serial business. If approvals for the product are now in place, what volume of business do you expect for the balance of this calendar year? And when was the last time you, not one of your employees, spoke with the company?
Well, first off, I think I addressed this particular issue during my presentation, but they have seen delays in their certification process for sure, and that's caused delays in terms of the initial orders. As I said, that we are waiting to hear from them as to how the final certification went. We don't believe it's a difficult one. It's just an acoustic certification. Everything else, the more difficult aspects of the panels have already been certified. So this is the last one. And as I said, that opens up an initial order for us for about 2,000 panels. The much larger order, once these certifications are in place, I can't give you exact timelines on that because, again, we are at the whim of our customer. But it's a very large opportunity, and it has to do with 2 domestic bases that are being renovated in the U.S., who we are told by our customer, the requirements for these multi-threat panels have been specified around their product attributes. In terms of when I last spoke to the customer, I would say that's probably 3 months ago. I spoke to the customer. We have a very senior business development person who is in regular contact with this particular company, and it doesn't make sense for me to get into the weeds in every one of these contracts when we have senior people negotiating with our customers.
Thank you, Michael.
Next question, please.
Yep. In the automotive realm, you stated last July that one OEM in particular has bought into the foam as a solution for weight and cost issues, yet there have been no announcements regarding the next step. In the previous presentation, you said the OEM was looking at 2 issues, a battery cross member box replacement as well as a rocker panel replacement. Since then, they continue to explore different and additional problems/solutions rather than focusing and concluding on one specific project. In your view, will the OEM continue to seek Cymat's input again and again on different solutions, or will they commit to at least one project and move forward in terms of requesting a prototype creation? What are you doing to move them in that direction?
Yeah, I suppose, not to be too glib, but if I knew the answer to that, then we'd be doing a much better job. But this is one of the largest OEMs in the world, known to be very, very conservative. We really are at their whim on timelines, and there are, I suppose, reasons particularly for the first two projects that we announced as to why they're moving slowly, and some of that has to do with, if I were to speculate, has to do with the ramp up in sales in that particular platform, and their conservatism or more conservative outlook right now for ramp up on that particular platform. We are expecting or hoping to have another program with them on this battery plate design. They are very interested in it. Again, we don't call the shots with OEMs. We're a very small company. We believe that they believe that our solutions are innovative because we take weight out, we absorb energy, and we reduce costs, which are the key drivers for any OEM in this market. So we can't push rope when it comes to their development speed and what have you, but I can tell you that there remains interest in our solutions, and particularly our product with that OEM.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael. When do you expect the next significant multi-million-dollar nuclear order to land?
We are hopeful that we'll see another multi-million-dollar order by the end of 2024. With this particular partner of ours or distributor of ours, they've advised that there are 6 or 7 projects like this that have been announced, and their expectation is that they were going to get the lion's share of those. They've advised us timelines that have been much more aggressive than have actually come to fruition. So I'm going to be a little careful in sort of speculating as to when the next one comes, but it will come. We know that. And our expectation or anticipation is that the next one will be in calendar 2024.
Thank you, Michael. Several months ago, there was an initial order placed with NEOM, which led to the expectation of additional orders. Could we get an update on the status of those subsequent orders and what the projections are for future business with NEOM?
Yeah, I believe I addressed those in my presentation. So why don't we move on to the next question?
Perfect. Over the past 5 years, your organization has engaged in collaboration with a tier 1 automotive company and pursued many initiatives such as Alcoil project, amongst others. Despite the considerable investment of time, money, and resources, these endeavors appear to yet yield no tangible outcomes. Could you explain the criteria or the benchmark that guides your decision process in determining whether to continue or stop such projects? At what point do you conclude that this initiative may not achieve its intended objectives?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's always in flux as to. Well, first off, it's not in flux as to pursuing opportunities. We try to validate every opportunity that is presented as to how much financial and human resource is going to be required, likelihood of success, and then the quantum of the opportunity. That's an ongoing process with any company, and ours, a small company like ours, that's ongoing always. The Alcoil opportunity, that has had, as you, if you're shareholders, that's had many fits and starts. The plant for this particular initiative was built some time ago already. It's the issue there has been that first off, COVID got in the way, and we are still trying to perfect the brazing of aluminum foam to very thin sheets, which is a very complicated thing to do. We've done that, in a pilot scale small coupon setting. It needs to be proven out in a much larger setting. We've relied on NRC and Rio Tinto to help us with this because they saw the opportunities here as well. And unfortunately, when you go that route, particularly with government entities and what have you, you don't control the timelines because we're not paying for any of that, but the timelines they dictate the timelines. So they've gotten through the first phase of their assistance on this particular issue with us. They have the equipment that's required to do the experimental work. We don't. We choose not to invest in that equipment. Otherwise, we would have done it ourselves, but that's a significant investment, which is why we're relying on NRC. They're now in phase 2 of that, which should be the final phase. If they are successful with that, then we'll present that to our partner, Alucoil, and we'll take it from there. But in terms of resources that it's using of Cymat's right now, it's very minimal. As I said, we've passed the financial obligation of that onto NRC and supported by Rio Tinto. As to any new initiatives, I think I already addressed that we always look at what the resource requirements are going to be and try to validate the opportunity and base our decisions on that. With respect to pulling plugs on projects, it doesn't make sense to pull plugs on projects if they're advancing and they're not using our human or financial resources to any great extent.
Thank you, Michael. At the expected gross margin on $10 million of sale, less about $14 million overhead could produce $3 million of net income. Is that a reasonable guess as to the potential net profit? If so, compared to your 10 million market cap, it would be 3x price to earnings multiple.
Yeah, that's not far off, actually. I would say that depending on the mix of product that we produce, nuclear is very high margin, as is military, as is illusion. We would expect that at about an $8 million revenue line, we would be cash flow neutral, slightly positive. And so if you look at sort of the margins that we earn on these products at $10 million, we would have a fairly meaningful free cash flow at that level. And so if you look at us on a cash flow multiple of cash flow basis, I would say that our valuation right now is quite modest.
Thank you, Michael. Cognizant of the time, we are going to wrap up the question and answer. There are several questions that we unfortunately could not have gotten to, but we will make sure we send it over to Michael and provide you a response in a timely manner. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on today's call. Thank you, Mr. Liik, for providing an update. Again, if there's any questions that do arise, please feel free to email us at info@investor3.ca. Neil, would you like to say something?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jan, by the way, and thank you, everybody, for attending. Michael, thank you for the update. I guess just to reiterate the summary, I mean, obviously, I think one of the good things I got away from this, Michael, was the fact that it's all on the table. You get a lot of this potential and it all goes bye-bye, then there's not much on the table. So as much as it's been frustrating for all of us or everybody, and it's been delay after delay, which again is not Cymat's control. The fact that we're still in the game, I think, is a key takeaway that I'm getting from this. So I think that's very, very important. And two, obviously, we'll keep everybody posted. And lastly, of course, myself and Michael and Jan, we are here. If anybody needs to speak with us, has any other questions, and as Jan mentioned, there are some questions that we can't get to. We will ensure they are answered, and we'll get back to you tomorrow with those answers. Either we or Michael will answer them collectively and get back to you. So thank you very much for attending. We do appreciate your time. We appreciate your support. Lastly, I know how difficult it's been, but gotta believe at 18 cents, it's got to be looked at. So I'm looking at it. I think a lot of people should be looking at it. We've been as high as $1.05 or 18 cents. You can see everything's still on the table. It's, I think, just a waiting game. Maybe we get it in a week, maybe a month, maybe 6 months. But the best thing is that the scale of the projects, a lot of these projects are quite large, and literally one or two POs coming in or one or two agreements coming in are game changing for a company this size. So I do think everybody should reevaluate what their cost is, position they have, and of course, my cost is around 57 cents. So of course, buying more at 18 would bring my cost down significantly. So again, happy to discuss with anybody about that, about the trading, anything else you guys may think of. If not, again, Michael, thank you very much for your time.